Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Words of Wisdom International Relationship Speakers Series. I am Pastor James, pastor of Holy Revival Church in the city of Compton, and tonight we are having a discussion with some beautiful women we're going to talk about relationships, we're going to talk about marriage, we're going to talk about being single during the holidays. A lot of people during this time of the year are struggling with depression and struggling with all types of anxieties because of not being in a relationship. And we know that according to the word of God, we were created to be with someone. We were created to be. Relationship is the foundation of really any religion, but especially Christianity, because we have a relationship with Christ. A lot of people find they can't have a relationship with Christ because they have a hard time having a relationship with someone they can see. So tonight we hope to answer some questions, and we are broadcasting on Words of Wisdom TV network. I forgot where we were, and as well as the Holy Revival Church Facebook page and the Black Entertainment Magazine Facebook page. So 3 different platforms we're broadcasting tonight, and you can ask questions if you like to ask a question. But right now, we're going to get right to it, and I'm going to introduce our distinguished panel of speakers tonight. And first up is and I'll just give an informal introduction, and you'll learn a little bit more about them as we go. But first person I'm bringing up is Brandy Williams Murdoch. We also have Miss Lori Houston, and we have Miss Imani Harris. So, good evening, ladies. We are live broadcasting. How are you ladies doing?
Doing great.
I am fantastic.
Good. We're going to jump right into this because I know people are waiting to hear what you ladies have to say. And I want, as the moderator, I want to start off by asking a question, and that is, what's wrong with being single? A lot of people, and let me say this, ladies, I found out something interesting in putting this together, that there were a lot of women that didn't want anybody to know that they were single.
Really?
On the other hand, on the other hand, talking to men, they didn't have a problem saying they were single, even if they were not single. they would say that they didn't have a problem with it. So, but some women actually said, "No, I don't need anybody to know I'm single right now." So, my first question is, what's wrong with being single? Imani, start with
All
you.
right. You want me to jump in there, huh?
Get in the fire.
Okay. Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with being single. However, 2 is better than 1. You know,
Okay.
as a woman, you don't want to be out there sleeping around, sleeping with different people. So if you're single, then that impacts your sex life. If you don't want people to know you're single, it could be for various reasons. It might be because for a woman, if you still single, what's wrong with you? Or maybe if you just got divorced, it can represent failure. So it's like, I just don't want people to know I'm single. Or you don't want to be bothered right now. There's sometimes you can go places and I know for me, I don't always want to be approached. I'm not always wanting that attention. So it can be various reasons, but there's nothing wrong with being single. But I believe that being with someone is natural. You get older, you by yourself. If you live by yourself, you fall, you get sick, anything happen, you by yourself. That's not something that I desire.
Okay, Brandy, same question. What's wrong with being single? Is anything wrong with it?
Can you guys hear me? There's a little static on my end, which is why I keep going on mute.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So look, I think the way you are phrasing the question sounds a bit negative, right? I don't think that it should be what's wrong with being single, Pastor, with all due respect, because there, when you say wrong, it makes it sound as though there's a negative connotation to it, right? I don't think that there's anything wrong with being single because it puts the onus on the person who's single, right? A lot of times, you'll hear people who say they want to be single, right? However, me personally, I'm in a point in my life where I don't want to be single anymore. But I think that it's important that women do take time to be by themselves and understand what they want. My opinion is that when you don't take the time to learn who you are, learn what you want, be happy with you, and figure out what makes you tick, what makes you stop, what makes you go, what you're into, what you're not into, then you can easily allow anything into your life. So when you talk about what's wrong with it, there really is nothing wrong with it. It just is you figuring out where you are in your life. Now, if you're at a point where you do want to be in a relationship, what is it that you're doing to get there, right? And a lot of times women talk about them wanting this certain kind of man and they wanted him to be like this and look like this. And we all hear it. Are you matching up to that? Or are you taking into consideration this guy that might really be checking for you and you ain't really been checking for him, but you've been single for X amount of years? And that guy might be someone that that you want to take a look at. So when I have to also piggyback on what Imani is saying is, I think that what's happening is that when women get of a certain age, or when women get around other people who are in relationships, they do feel that need of wanting to be with somebody or failure in some sense. But it's important for you to be clear with who you are and what it is that you want.
Okay. All right. All right. We have our fifth panelist, and yeah, Brandy, there's a click in your microphone, I believe. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. J.R. Riley is with us, and I'm going to ask. Well, Lori, you the same question, and I will rephrase it then. Uh, is there anything wrong with being single?
Well, you rephrased it, but you still keep the word wrong in there, which I think
Well,
is
that's
the problem.
intentional. That's
Yeah, I know.
intentional.
Well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being single. I just think that people, or women especially, I can't really speak for a man, but I think just as women, I think we put too much focus on being single. I think our attention is in the wrong place. I use being single, I use the time of being single as preparing. Ultimately, I do want to be married, but I do want to be the best version of who I can be until marriage manifests. So I use it as a preparation stage to prepare. And so that's the way I look at being single. I think single is good. Single, gives you an opportunity to know who you are and what you as a woman brings to the table. A lot of times we focus on what the man should bring to the table, but women need to understand that we need to bring something to the table too. So I just want to make sure that I'm an asset and not a liability.
Awesome. Okay. I said that I used the word wrong because I've had so many. I've heard women say this, that they were treated like something was wrong with them if they were a certain age and they weren't married. So I want to ask you, ladies. I mean, I'm looking at four beautiful women, and the four of you are single. And what would you say is the number one reason? What is the biggest issue facing you, or the biggest obstacle to getting married? Without bashing men, but what is the reason? Why are you single? Is it by choice? Is it an obstacle facing you? And okay, well, we'll start with you, Jr. Why are you single?
Well, and the panelists, you guys have echoed some of my same thoughts, my same ideologies as well. So I'm in totally agreement with some of the statements that have been made by the other panelists. But for me, panelists and pastor, I am coming from a biblical standpoint where I have learned to abound and to abate. Whatever state that I find myself in, I am content. So to say that, do I want a companion? Sure, I would love to have a compatible, emotionally, spiritually mature companion. I'm not into the aspects of looks and so forth. But for me, I'm just enjoying this time where God has me. And whatever He has for me will appear in His perfect time. I have made the choice 3 times married, one being led by God that did not work out, and 2 were my choosing. So I am taking this time, as Ms. Houston said, and Ms. Amani also alluded to continue to work on me. To whether he brings me a companion, I'm good. If he doesn't bring me a companion, I'm good. So that's for me.
All right, Miss Imani.
I have a little bit different school of thought. One is, as women, we always say, oh, we're preparing. And we do all of this work, right? I got to get myself together. I have to be an asset. I have to be, and we do the work. But I'm like, are men out there preparing? Like putting that much attention on finding somebody? And we do. And it is good that we need to get ourselves together. But it's almost, you can get yourself together independently. But then especially when you older, when it's time to come and become one with another person, even you getting yourself together is going to be that in that relationship that you can't even prepare for all of it. I mean, it's impossible until you get with that other person. And then it's like working on yourself as one with a whole nother person. And I believe even when you're young and get married, you grow together. You're not perfect. You're not necessarily ready. You're not necessarily an asset yet. But when you get in a relationship with somebody, you're walking and growing with that person. And so, yes, being single, we're preparing, our relationship with the Lord, because when you get married, now that covenant, your time is different. But at the same time, I know a lot of young women. Before you used to get married in your 20s, it wasn't no big deal. You have a boyfriend, oh, I like him. You get married. Today, these babies, they in their 30s. Young people are not choosing marriage. They are not. And this beautiful Christian, gorgeous young ladies that I know, older and younger, people are not choosing marriage. And we can say we're preparing ourselves, we're getting it together and all that stuff. But even in doing that, we still gonna have flaws. We still gonna have issues when we go into this marriage or into those relationships. And some issues will not even come up until you get into a relationship. You start, because you with a whole nother person, you start seeing, you irritated now. You didn't work, you've been with the Lord by yourself, you've been working on yourself. Now here come this person, and it's like, I'm irritated. You start enjoying being single,
And
even
see,
though you think you want to be with somebody, but when that
and
person comes,
I think that's
you're like, what? I can't go to the. I had to tell you I was going to the store. Really? What? I can't go to. You got an issue because now you becoming one with a whole nother person. So I really just believe that I don't prefer the cliche things that a lot of us women are saying nowadays. I just believe that marriage is not a choice for a lot of men. Is a lot of single people for whatever reason. It might be more gay marriages going on right now than heterosexual marriages for all I know. And it's gonna be tough no matter what. Cause there's a straight on war against people coming together.
okay.
It was Lori. Lori, I want to hear Lori and Brandy's take, and then I want to respond from a male point of view.
You want me to go first?
Yes, yes, you can go ahead, Lori.
Just to allude to what Miss Imani said, when I say prepare, once we understand that the role of the man and the woman is totally different, and women are designed to be the help me. And so when I say prepare as a woman to be able to help and push him into his destiny. So there's a preparation that needs to take place. Yes, we're two different people. I'm not preparing to try to understand who this person is going to totally be, but I do want to make sure that when I get married, that I'm able to be everything that I need to be as in the role of the woman, which is something that I clearly understand. I think a lot of times there's so much that people, men and women, don't understand about marriage. And so if you don't really understand the role of the woman in terms of marriage, then you are going to run into some challenges. I've been married before. I knew absolutely nothing about marriage, knew absolutely nothing about a helpmeet and what the role of a woman is. And when you understand that the roles are totally different, the anatomy of the male and the female is totally different. And if we can both stay in our roles, and understand what our place is in the marriage, I think that will be most helpful. Of course, it's going to be challenges. Of course, it's going to be the fact that you have two people coming together as one. But that's where the growing and everything takes place at that point. Yes, there's a lot of cliches, and I think people are single for various reasons. I personally don't want to just jump into a marriage because that's something that I want to do. I've been married once before. Once I marry again, that's going to be it for me. So I'm not rushing. I'm not that person that's sitting on the sidelines. Oh, where's my husband? I'm not there. But I do embrace marriage. I think marriage is a wonderful thing when you have two people that embrace it, understanding what their roles are in the marriage. So when I say prepare, I'm not preparing, to make sure that the finances are there, make sure that this, that, are there, but I'm preparing myself to develop and be a better woman so that, like I said earlier, we can be that I can be an asset in the marriage, and that I can be a support system, and I can be that person that is going to require him to be the best in his role and me be the best in mine, so that when we come together, it's something that can be explosive and that it can make a difference in the world. So that's my take on it.
The very thing that Lori is saying is what I learned after the divorce. After a divorce, I learned, like, what you're saying is mature growth. Those are things that I learned after divorce. I learned those things that you're saying. And it's interesting because the problem is, in a relationship, in life, it's a journey. So you're growing with whoever it is, and the problem is the getting out, is the not being able to sustain the marriage or the relationship long enough to even get to that point of learning that. Because we're older now, so now we're like, okay, I understand this, I understand that, I understand this, But even when you get married when you're younger, it's staying in there long enough to even grow to get to that point. Because a lot of mature marriages, they go through hell, they go through a lot. It's not that that person made a better choice than the other person, other than the sustainability of staying and growing together. So we are always working on ourselves, but what happened is we start to work on ourselves by ourselves. And it becomes more difficult to now I didn't work on me, and I'm an asset because I put some women, we'll put some work, we'll pray, we'll read a book, we'll do everything to try to be the right woman. Whereas I don't know if men are putting that much emphasis on being the right husband versus maybe having a job and having that money, that pocket right. But we put a lot of emphasis on making sure our character is right. We do a lot of work. And that work, even if we get married when we're younger, that work should be getting done anyway, whether we are with them or not with them. But because we're single, we can now focus on maturing spiritually and maturing like that. But that should happen. I don't need to be single to learn, to learn that. That should be happening, and that journey should be happening along with my mate as he too is growing.
Let me toss something, Brandy, before you respond, because I like what I'm hearing, but I think that one of the things I'm not hearing is I'm hearing everybody talk about, what I want, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to know what you want, but from a male point of view, I think that the issue is always going to be communication, especially in the beginning of a relationship. The communication is just not there. It's not. I don't care who you are. The communication is not there. And then I think a lot of times, and you ladies may get upset with me when I say this, a lot of women are looking for a codependent type of relationship. Because I've heard women say, I need somebody that's going to take care of me. I need somebody that's going to make me happy. You can't make anybody happy. Now, from a man's point of view, this is why when you get a good man, you ought to thank God, shout, dance, whatever you need to do. Because when you get a good man, because look at what men are up against, and I don't think a lot of women realize this. As we come up, we're told, you got to be a good boy for mommy. You got teachers. Most of your teachers are women. You got to please the teacher. You go to school. You see that girl you like. I got to please. I want her to like me. I want her to be my girlfriend. I want her to be, why she don't like me? What's wrong with me? When you become an adult, I need to convince this woman to want to be with me. So we spend our whole life, when Imani said, "Are you getting ready?" You ain't got time to get ready. Work on your character, because you spending your whole life trying to get a woman to like you, trying to get her approval. And so then when that man, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, ladies. But when you look at a man through those eyes, that man has spent his whole life trying to do one thing: please a woman. And now he gets with a woman that he feels like, okay, she's the one. I'm going to put a ring on her finger. She's the one for me. And now he gets with her. All he know, okay, if I please her and I get her, my job is done. So I think what has to happen, there has to be a dialogue going on. When they say how, they say, you hear people say, look at how a man treats his mother, and that tells how, that could be, because he may be a mama's boy, and mama ain't taught him how to be a man. She taught him how to be a mama's boy. But for the most part, most men, real men, gonna be right. They're gonna treat their mother right. They're gonna treat their woman right. But men, we have this thing that we're taught. I know I was married for a long time. Nobody taught me how to be married. I didn't know. I was reading books going to the library. I put it like this. My ex-wife, she laughed at me when, and I don't think I'm being gross or anything. When we got married, I thought a woman was on her period for 28 days. That's what I thought. I didn't know. Brandy, don't look at me like that. I didn't know anything different. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know nothing. Of course, I got married at 21, but I didn't know nothing about women. I didn't know nothing about being married. And I still, we hung in there for a long time, but I can look back now and say I had no business getting married because I didn't know anything. So when you say, you have to be ready and a man has to, the man needs to work. Most men, and I'm going to say it, but most men don't even know how to work on their character because that's not what we're taught. We're taught, make this woman like you. She gotta like. And once you get her to like you, 90% of the battle is won, and you don't know nothing else. That's why when that man is sitting in your house and he playing video games and he's not doing he's doing what he's been conditioned to do. Now, some women may say that's a cop out, and to a degree it is, but it is reality. How do you ladies respond to that?
This is Lori. I cannot let things go the way you started it off. First of all, you must have spoke to a very small percentage of women who are looking for a man to take care of them. The women that I know, for the most part, are not looking for a man to take care of us. And in this day and time, to me, that's very unrealistic to think that somebody is just going to swoop in on a chariot and take care of you. So that is definitely
but it's real.
Not my stance.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real for some people. But when you make a statement and make it general and across the board, then I have to say something because that's not my position. I'm not looking for a man to take care of me.
Okay, accept it. I get you. I understand. But there are women. I know 2 women specifically that told me that's what I'm looking for.
But I'm
looking for somebody. And then let me say this. I had a woman say, I'm not gonna have a man come in and take my stuff. So when you go into a relationship thinking like that, that's your mindset. You're more concerned about yourself. You're not even concerned about building a relationship. But it is, and it may be a small percentage, but it does exist.
Oh no, I agree, it exists. I know some women like that. But when you make a statement across the board about women, I have to speak up because that's not my position. Yeah, okay. And it's not all
Brandy,
women.
you look like you have a lot on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I have a lot on my mind is because this is not a blanket subject, right? I don't think that you can respond with how everyone feels when we're talking about being single, right? I could tell you how I feel. Someone else could tell you how they feel. People could say, well, they're single, and everyone is going to have validity in their reasoning. I will say this, though. We do need to address the fact that it's heightened in the African American community, and we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge that. And that's statistically, and that's been since the 70s. There used to be 70% of our 70% of African Americans who were married 60s and before, and now we're at 33%. And we're talking about other cultures that are 80% plus that are married. And so we've got to address that within our community because marriage is one of the top ways to garner wealth. And so we're missing out on that. And we can feel how we want to feel, but those are the numbers. And I'm not saying that people need to get married just because of wealth, but we do want to eradicate some things within our community. And two is better than one. If we're talking biblically, one could put 1,000 to flight and two 10,000. I don't think that was written just to be there in the word. The word never just has anything in there just so it could be frivolous, right? And so we can feel how we want to feel carnally, but this thing is bigger spiritually. And so when fathers were ripped away from homes and husbands are ripped away from women, then that hurt us as a community largely. And I don't think any of us as women really want to be single. I think that we've really dealt with it. And we've kind of dealt with running households. And we've dealt with putting up masks and guards of why we are single because we're frankly tired of being asked. And we're tired of the excuses that are given from men about why they're not committed. You know, it's been socially accepted on why men are not committed to women within the African American community. Where I have friends who are younger than I who get married and then divorced and then married again. And in our community, if we're divorced, it's almost scary sometimes if we are going to get another mate because of what it takes just to be in a committed relationship within our community. And whether there's a scarcity of men, quote unquote, or the scarcity of the mentality for men to commit, there's something that's going on. It's just addressing what's going on and talking about it. And I mean, I'm a single mom and or a mom who's single and or a widow, whatever call it. And I have where I hardly want to go in the barbershop with my son just because of the mentality of what's talked about there. And it's usually not commitment. And that's what you want to hear. And it's not being talked about.
Well, Brandy, you touched on something and you talked about the spiritual component of it. And that is the problem right there. You hit the nail on the head. People can't have a spiritual component when they don't have a relationship with Christ. It's just not going to happen. So it's like trying to stick a round ball or peg into a square hole. It's not going to happen. So with that being said, I think a lot of the blame has to be laid at the door of the church because the church is not even teaching men how to be in relationships or even how they even lead them towards marriage. You cannot see, and that is the part. That's what I'm glad you said that, because without a spiritual component, it don't matter what people believe. Without a spiritual component, you are fighting ghosts without any help. But if you have that relationship, so the question the question is why more men don't have a relationship with the Lord, and what can be done about it? You guys know what you want. You know what you want in a man. And if that's something that you want, I remember I counseled a woman once. A woman said, and I'll try to make this real quick, she was in love with this man, and this man was in love with her, and blah, blah, blah. But she said that any man that's in love with me has to have a relationship with the Lord. I said, okay, well, I said, well, what's the guy bring me flowers, take me to dinner, all this and that. She said that, but anytime she wanted to talk to him about the Lord, he would change the subject. He didn't want to talk about it. But he did everything else right. Brought her flowers, took her to dinner, all of this. And I said, okay, well, I just need to know where he stands with his relationship with the Lord. I said, this is what I want you to do. The next time he come and take you out, you ask him, how does he feel about Jesus? How does he feel about Jesus? It's simple, just a simple question. She said, okay, I'm going to do it. She called me. She said a couple of days later, said we went out and I started not to ask him because he brought me some flowers. Oh, he was looking so good and all of this. She said she asked. The first time he didn't respond. She said, come on, I want to get this out in the open. She said, because I'm ready for us to go to the next level. She said, I need to know, how do you feel about Jesus Christ? She said she asked him the third time. She said the third time he exploded. She said she didn't know that much anger could come out of a person. Why you want to talk about Jesus? It ain't no Jesus. Now, you wanted to hear me say, she said he scared me so bad. See, but what I've said, a lot of women, they get sucked in with the flowers and the candy and all of this and that. But you say you want the spiritual component, but are you willing to challenge a man and ask him, look, are you ready to be not only the physical leader of the home, but are you ready to be the spiritual leader of the home? If you're not ready, if you ask a man, if a man can't answer that question, I don't care if he's giving you the moon. If your relationship with the Lord is that important to you, when you ask him, are you ready to be the spiritual leader of our home? And he don't know what you're talking about, he's not the one. Yes, Lori. I see you waving your hand.
Oh no, I was moving a text off my phone. Sorry.
Well, go.
Say it again.
How do you respond to that?
I respond to that. If I gotta ask you more than once, then I'm not going to ask you 3 times what your relationship is with the Lord. And if they've been dating any time, she should have already known what his relationship was with the Lord, especially if that's one of her requirements.
But you know, like I know, a lot of women are not going to do that. That's the question I'm trying to get to. And I'm asking each one of you ladies, have you put that question to a man? Have you ever asked a man that was interested in you, are you willing, ready, and able to be the spiritual leader of our home? And if so, what was the response?
By the time you get to that question, asking somebody, can they be the spiritual leader of your home? They should have already, when you in the Lord, it shows. It shows. You go, you eat, they pray. You know what I'm saying? There's so many, your life is just engulfed in it. And so I don't see how you can miss that. But I'm more concerned with, you said the church responsibility to teach men how to be husbands. It's like, to me, we can't, as women, we can't take that responsibility. You know, men, you guys need to teach each other. Or a man that's a man, they need to teach other men. We can't get in that. You know, and I think that's where the problem is. We have to teach these boys. We have to teach. That's where a problem, like the men who aren't, I don't know if you guys speak up to each other, like be honest with each other and be like, look, man, or hold each other accountable. But men need to teach men. We can't do nothing about that. How you guys need to be men or be husbands. I don't know. And if you want to put that on the church, that would have to be a men's group or men's mentorship or something. Our hands are off of that.
In full.
So okay, I get that part of it. But what I said initially, a man, and like I said, I'm just moderating. A man, his whole life is designed about pleasing a woman. He has to, everything from the time we in, soon as we can talk, that's mama's big boy. I got to please this woman. And now, but you're saying that men have to somehow figure out how to hold each other accountable.
Because we can't do that. Like if the woman said, if the mother said that and the father was absent from the home, it's because the father was absent. So we're only going to be who we are as women. A man has to tell another man, look, man, that's not how we do this. This is how you do it. I mean, what do you want? What do men want from us in that area?
Pastor.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to broach this subject for the panelists. You have a group of people, African Americans, who are a part of a system that was set up to eradicate us. Okay. So, what happens to a marginalized group that has been targeted, as we have, there is some psychological and emotional damage that has been done to us that is passed down from generation to generation in our DNA. Some of our problems that we have in dealing with one another are from a psychological and a neurotic state. And so what happens is you ask the question, have any of us posed to men that we were getting ready to be serious with if they were ready to be the spiritual head? I've asked many, and they all said yes. Some people can pretend longer than others. That's number one. And number two, many of us are not emotionally equipped or healthy enough, men and women. The women to stand by as he gets himself together, and the man to be vulnerable enough to accept the help from the female or another man or an outside institution. You have to be emotionally healthy and balanced when you're moving toward love. You talk about spirituality. Pastor, you know many people pretend to be more spiritually inclined than what they exhibit in their walk. So we are dealing with the same fractured people that you see. We're trying to date them. We're trying to marry them. We ourselves, I'm going to speak about myself. I was emotionally immature, coming from fractured beginnings, trying to navigate. There was no one really whole enough psychologically, emotionally, to help launch me into a solid relationship. I don't know about the rest of the panelists. I'm just going to speak about me. So I began the work of dismantling my crap. And I think that's what we speak to as women as well. When we say that we're working on ourselves, some of that is doing the emotional repairing of our things that we did not do correctly. Do men do that? Historically, men as a group are not geared toward that. That's more of a female domain. And I love men. I have 5 brothers and 2 sons. Had a great grandfather, had great uncles, had great male mentors, the whole spectrum. But I do see emotional immaturity and some other issues affecting us as well when we try to couple up.
Okay, ladies, there's a question, and it kind of ties in. It says somebody posted a question, and they asked the ladies, what about a situation when a woman wants to follow but is forced to lead?
That goes back to what we were saying. You want to follow, but a man that has not done the work, that's not mature enough to lead. And I think when we start leading, it just perpetuates the mess, you know. And I still believe it's going to take men, just like we said with this whole injustice between whites and black. We say it's going to take white people to step up. Well, it's going to take men to step up and make the difference amongst men. And I know it is psychological. We bring the slavery thing, but I say it's just like a little kid that's being trained for diaper to, you know, when they get to the point where they're bringing you the diaper, saying I need my diaper changed. Now, you know, you need your diaper changed. Now, at this point, you need to be going to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So we know what's wrong with us. We know slavery. We understand all of that stuff. So at this point, we need to take responsibility and do the work. But it's not for a woman to tell the men to do it. It's going to take men like you, Pastor James, to have a men's group. It's going to take men coming together to work with one another. The men who are mature. I don't know if it's the blind leading the blind, but there are some real men out there. And it's going to take that mentorship in order to make a change, because we don't want to lead, but we're forced to lead it. And this is a year where women are, because of the way our society has gotten, women and Black women are larger than charge. And that's probably because of the nurturing and the mess that we're in. It's taking a female to come and fix things. But I'm telling you, without the man leading, we're going to have a perpetual issue and problems, because the man has a very strong place and a role. And there are women that's out there and ready to support men. And there's some women who are tired and just like, forget this. I'm not getting behind no man. I'm not doing this and doing that. He better do this for me. So there are different mentalities out there. But if you guys are truly the head and truly the leaders, you're going to have to lead. Or you're going to have a Deborah situation on your hands.
Excuse me.
Pastor James, this is Lori. I don't know at what stage this couple determined that she was, she's being forced to leave. But I think those are some of the things that we miss at the dating stages of relationships, because it really is the time where you need to be collecting data. And if this is somebody that you knew before you married that you were going to have to take the lead, then that's something that you took on of and in and of yourself. But if we as single women are dating and really paying attention to who it is that we're dating and what's going on, me personally, I'm not interested in leading. I want to be led. I want to be able to be submissive to his authority and to his leadership. So if I'm collecting data and I see that, I already know that is not a man that I want to be my husband. But I mean, if you're already in it, then I think somebody said earlier, those are one of those things that you're just going to have to really push through and grow through. Because if you're dating somebody, you already know what he's doing as a man in terms of his finances, or he's working, or he has a business, or whatever. You see all of that during the dating stages. But I think so many times as women are so needy sometimes, and they really, I think somebody also said earlier, after you get to a certain age, you just want to be married so bad, so you're just going to settle and take whatever it is that comes your way. But that's the first mistake that is made. But to be able to be in a relationship and it's one-sided like that, it's already dysfunctional. If you're having to take the lead in a relationship, that's already going to cause you some major stress. Because
you got to give it some time, because there's some good pretenders. I just started back. Started back to dating, and it takes time for their true self to come forward. You got to really take some time. You got to ask the right questions, because they not volunteering no information. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? Another thing you hear people say, oh, you should know after 6 months. You should know after a year. I don't agree with that. You should know when you know. And you need to take time. And what's wrong with taking time? You're already single, and you've probably been single for a long time. I have. I'm not in a rush. I'd rather take the time to find out what I'm dealing with than to rush into something and get surprised.
I'm not in a rush either.
What's wrong with taking the time? It's nothing wrong with taking the time to see what you're really dealing with.
Yeah.
I would be curious to find out what here he is. I would be really curious to figure out what she's forced to take the lead on.
Somebody's static.
Right?
Because
she's saying she curious to know what is she forced to take the lead on. the leadership role. Like you start, maybe I know I could start off dating somebody and they're like seem pretty strong, you know. They organizing the dates, you know, they seem like they got it together and they got a plan. And then next thing you know, I think when that man's weaknesses start coming out, because eventually they have weaknesses, but I think they hide those weaknesses at the beginning because they probably feel weak. I don't know. They call it representative. They got a representative. Like James said, they want to be, I gotta please her. I gotta get chosen. I got whatever that is. I don't think they feel comfortable or trust us enough to show us their weaknesses. So that stuff get hidden. And then that stuff is gonna come out. So over time you start seeing those weaknesses and you have the hustle ministry in you. And so you start making sure stuff happen and you expected him to do that.
You can hear me, Lori? Is it staticky?
It's
Yeah,
staticky.
I didn't hear your question.
Oh, is it staticky now?
It's
a little better.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's going on over here.
Technology, Brandy.
What you say?
It's technology.
Girl, it's just technology. And I was saying I got several different internet connections over here. But I appreciate y'all some powerhouses, ladies. It's not even much that you can add, but I was just saying that I'm wondering what she is forced to take the lead on, right? Because it sounds like she wants him to step up to the plate and do some things. And if it's something that, I mean, I would say if, depending upon how long they're in a relationship, and if she really likes this guy or if they're married, and I'm not sure who said it, but it's some stuff that you got to grow with for the relationship to stay, right? If you're just trying to, if it's fleeting and you're trying to pull out of the relationship, then this is not really for you. But if it's a marriage and you want this to work, then you got to start somewhere. You got to start trusting him with some things. So when you're saying you're forced to take the lead on it, are you forcing yourself or are you just not trusting him enough to fail? I think a lot of times we don't want to see.
That's a good one.
That's good.
That's very good, Brandy.
We get in a position where we're like, if he doesn't, then we feel like we need to tell him I told you so. Love him through the failure and let him know that you're still going to be there for him if he falls. And then how do we figure this out together? Because that's really what love is about. Even if you do have the answers, make him feel like he's got the answers or suggest some things along the way so that he learns how to lead, because it just might be something that you're his help for. The one thing that I love, and I learned this in I learned this reading somewhere, I learned this listening to someone somewhere. If you read everything that God created after he created, he said it is good. The only thing he didn't say it is good after is when he created man. He didn't say that after he created man. He said, let me create a helpmeet. So that lets you know that he even understood in his sovereignty that he needed to create a helpmeet for him. He had to put him to sleep, pull out a rib, and create a helpmeet. So there was something a little off, not in a bad sense, but something that he needed to conjoin with them. So the woman is there to help the man through whatever it is that he goes through. If he happens to falter, or you happen to see something along the way, help him along the way and help him get to where your common goal to be, because you really are one when you become one, which means you can really pray him through that thing and get yourself over the hump. So don't force yourself to lead somewhere where he should actually be the leader.
Brandy, that was excellent. That was excellent. And we have about 5 minutes left, but I cannot let this pass because I think it was Lori that mentioned, waiting and what's wrong with waiting. And the problem is not so that anything is wrong with waiting, so to speak, but the issue really, and it's really, I think the church has really done such a disservice, especially the young people, is that nobody want to wait because everybody want to have sex and not feel guilty about it. That's the real issue. That's what I find more than anything. They don't want to talk about it until you bring it up. Oh, Pastor, I didn't expect you to go there. Well, that's what you're telling me. You don't have any other reason why you want to get married, get in a relationship. You don't want to wait. You don't want to wait a year, 2 years, or whatever, because you don't want to have sex and feel guilty about it. So as single women, how do you deal with that particular issue, and how do you deal with men that approach you like that? And especially, see, the church is real good about saying it's better to marry than to burn, and 6 months later you can't stand each other. Because if you try to build any type of a relationship on the foundation of sex, it's not going to last.
Not at
There's
all.
no way it's going to last. So how do you ladies address that? How do you deal with that issue?
I think the question, I mean, I don't think people are waiting. I don't think people are getting married because they want to have sex no more. I think people are just going on and having sex. And that's why it does, you know, that's why people aren't so quick to get married, because it's like, I'm having sex, I'm having fun. Like, why am I going to get myself in this? And so I've been divorced for, I don't know how long it's been now. It's been a minute. And it's been a minute. And I haven't had sex since my being divorced. But see, the thing is, I was younger when I got married. Now I'm older, and now my walk is different with the Lord. So now I'm having different conversations like, Lord, is this natural? I'm having different conversations with God than I did, because when I was younger, you mess around, you do stuff, but now I know better. So now it's a whole, I'm looking at this like, wait, hold up. So I'm not supposed to. But most people, I'm just saying. I mean, you brought it up. That's the real talk right there. Because people are knocking boots. People knocking boots all up and through the church.
Okay. And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Now, how much does that contribute to a man saying, why am I going to marry her? I'm getting all the benefits without being married to her. I don't have to marry her. She giving me what I want.
He got to be a man of God.
But even a man of God. I mean, this is, and we keeping it real. This is reality. We have 5:59, y'all. But since it's my show, we can go over. So since I'm the pastor, we can go over.
All right.
But if we're going, if we're gonna go there, okay, we know, everybody here is an adult. We know what the Bible says about fornication. And even as a pastor, I will admit there are some things in the Bible I wish God would just look the other way on. Just, God, just, kind of let us, can you just turn your head on this one and let this one be okay? Exactly. But the reality of it is, ladies, when I say this, men can't do it if y'all don't do it.
I fully agree.
So to say, I want
Brandy.
lead, I want to win. No, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just keeping it real. Wait, Brandy, don't give me that look. The man can't do it if the woman is not a participant. But see, and I'm not saying it's anything wrong, because look, as long as you wrapped up in this stuff right here called flesh, you're gonna have some feelings. You start listening to Luther Vandross and the Isley brothers, and hearing Ron Isley saying stuff like, every time I close my eyes, it's your face I see. Yeah, you get caught at the right moment. Things gonna happen. But you gotta give in to the man. And when you give in to the man he's like, okay, hey, I got what I wanted. I don't have to put a ring on her finger. So
I said
now,
a man of God. A man of God be convicted.
But okay, pastors do it. Preachers do it.
When I say man of God, I don't mean just because you have a title.
Okay. but I know Brandy about to throw daggers, so I'm gonna let her
Go, Brandy.
You know, here's the thing. This is not excusable, right? I'm just saying that we live in a time now where,
Her phone is staticky.
oh
Can't hear.
God, it's horrible.
I can
Lori
hear you
said
though.
And I went to
I can hear you too.
we live in a time now where if she won't do it, the next woman will, and that's really unfortunate. It really, really,
Yeah.
really is. And it's not like um, you women are not holding themselves. I think that I actually have several friends that are still virgins, right? Like, and who have turned men away and said, because I turned him away, he went on somewhere else, right? Um, and so the challenge in that is you know the lines being drawn and the lines being blurred. And here's the thing too. So if we hold out, are you gonna get the ring? I mean, and this is where it comes into play on. I love what Imani brought up. You know, the mentorship from males, and I'm just not convinced that that is what's being done, and it's because of what's being seen. So we can talk about holding out, and that's a great thing. But I think you got more people that are erring on the side of asking for forgiveness than they are erring on the side of abstinence or not fornicating. And as being someone who has abstained, right, and who has also fornicated, I ain't gonna be he without the first ask the first stone. I ain't gonna. But I will say there is a lot of benefit in letting the one who cannot wait go and the one who is willing to wait a little longer stay. Because you'll save yourself a lot in doing that. And so that's why you're getting a side eye from me. And I'm just looking at you a certain kind of way. You just gotta be, I know there's this whole thing about equally yoked and all of that, but it's a different kind of scene. And I'm curious if you would do another show like this and not just have women. I would love for you to have some single men on here for them to give their perspective and for them to really be honest about why they've been single and what they're really looking for.
You're not going to be honest, Brandy.
Okay. I'll tell you what. We are going to we are at 6:04, and I'm just now getting wound up. So we're gonna schedule another one, and we're gonna have 5 brothers here, at least 4 brothers here, 4 single men. And we're gonna have an honest discussion about this issue, because I think this was really good tonight. I personally enjoyed it.
If
You
I may,
ladies,
you gotta have like 2 and 2, because you gotta have the women banter. Like you gotta have when they throwing that like nah, that's not true. You gotta have somebody to come back with the like that ain't really how it works, and them to come back with the yeah, you're right. If they by themselves, they could kind of slip some stuff in there that's just we know ain't right.
somebody just sent a message, and make sure you have the same ladies. Make sure you have the same ladies. So, ladies, you guys get ready. I don't know if it's going to be next week or 2 weeks, but get ready. It depends on how long it takes to get the men, because men were really hesitant about, even when I was discussing the idea, because the plan was to have another show with all men, but we can combine it. But the men were really like, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to, what you trying to do? Blast us out?" So no, that's not the objective. But we're gonna do this again.
And let me tell you one last thing when you go, Pastor. It changed from there was a time where women understood their power, right? And men knew that they had to marry in order for the power to be given, right? women just kind of giving it away. So for the women who are holding themselves, man, like, you ain't doing that. Oh, girl over there will. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
Yeah. Ladies, thank you so much. You know, I'm going to say a word of prayer before we leave, but this was awesome. And all of you guys, you got to come back. You got to come back, and
the only thing is for me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm on the East Coast. And so sometime for me, I have early morning Zoom meetings or early morning conference calls and so forth. So if I bow out, please understand, Pastor and panelists, it's because that I have to get prepared for the following morning.
Where are you, JR?
I'm in Georgia.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, Georgia, who turned blue.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was so awesome.
But
it exceeded.
I was so honored to be among you all. It was wonderful. Thank you.
It exceeded my expectations, and I'm looking forward to having the next session with the men. But I want to say a word of prayer. Father, we thank you. Lord, I thank you for each one of these incredibly awesome women, Lord. I pray that you will bless them and give them the very desire of their heart, Lord. Father, the man that you have designed and created specifically for them, Lord, Father, that will be an honorable man, that will be a man of integrity, a man of virtue, a man of God. I pray, Lord, that you lead him to them, Lord. And Father, if that be their desire and your will for their life, Lord, let them create a partnership and a union, Lord, Father, that will not only prosper spiritually, but will prosper financially, Lord, prosper materially, Lord, prosper physically, Lord. I pray, God, that you would bless their households, Lord, bless their children, Lord, bless their families, bless everything that their hand touches, Lord, for their desire to share wisdom and knowledge with others. And I pray, God, that you continue to bless our ministry and this series, Lord, as we go forward to lead people to deliverance. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. God bless you. Brandy Murdoch, J.R. Riley, Miss Imani, and Lori Houston. I applaud you, ladies. You guys are awesome, 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 awesome. And I will be in touch and let you know when we're going to be back here. And it's, oh my God, it's going to be some fireworks then, because we're going to have the brothers here and we're going to set it off. All right. So good night, ladies. Thank you for being here.
Thanks
and
for the invitation.
I appreciate you. It is so wonderful having all of you here. For everyone that watched tonight, God bless you. This is Pastor James. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did or if you didn't, send me a message. Let me know how you felt about what you heard and what you saw tonight. God bless you, everybody. You can go back and watch this anytime at Words of Wisdom TV network and be blessed by it. Share it with your friends, and let's blow up the internet for the next one. Amen. God bless you all. Thank you for being here for our first Words of Wisdom International Relationship Speaker Series. God bless you.